Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be quality questions and good communication. Well, today I've got an email. I got one email I'm going to go through that's from a woman on obviously the topic of communications, because she's having problems with the guy that she's in relationship with and being able to communicate her needs and wants to him. And she has a tendency, when he doesn't meet her needs and wants, to get pissed off, to pull away, to withdraw, and kind of in essence punish him a little bit for the fact that he's not getting where she's coming from. And when I get through her email, I'm going to go, there's an article that I just read earlier today. It was really great. It was this young guy, and he just at a place where he's like, I want to figure out relationships. So he basically spent a year of his life traveling around and talking to couples who the only criteria was they're in love. Gay, straight, lesbian couples, husband and wife been married for 6 years, it didn't matter. If they had a good, loving relationship, he wanted to sit down and talk to them. He's actually making a documentary about it. And so what's really cool is he obviously found out a lot of the things that I discuss in my videos that are truth. And so here's just another guy confirming things that he sees in patterns of the same kind of, because I've been obviously researching relationships and interviewing and talking to people my whole life, my whole adult life, because this has been an area of concern and an area where I personally have done a lot of self-help and self-improvement in myself. And so it's always nice to see other people discovering the same kinds of things that I am. And we'll go through some of the key things that really jumped out at me that this guy discovered in his study. So before we get into it, I've got a quote that I wrote on this topic that I want to share. And it's not just intimate relationships, because that's why I'm the homepage of my website, at the very top of every page on my website, it says Life is Relationships. And that's why I talk about a lot of different topics other than just picking up women, dating women, having relationships with women. I spend a lot of time on career. I do a lot of career coaching with guys. I do a lot of coaching with guys who are trying to move up the corporate ladder, and maybe the people that work above them aren't really trying to help them meet their career goals or helping them get a job at the kind of company that they really want. Or entrepreneurs communicating with their business partners or their employees, communicating a vision, getting everybody aligned and focused and on the same team and moving forward. And so I do a lot about helping people be well-rounded. And obviously an area that's of real importance to every relationship that you're going to have in your life is being able to communicate, asking really good, high-quality questions of the other person. So let's go ahead and read this quote. It says, "The quality of any intimate relationship, friendship, or business relationship is directly proportional to the quality of the questions that people who are in relationship with each other consistently ask. The purpose of all relationships is that you go there to give. You are there to meet each other's needs and to help each other grow and become more. You should view all people who you are in relationship with as being on the same team. If you are frustrated or have a hard time communicating your needs and wants to others, withdrawing and punishing the other person by staying away on purpose is not loving or kind, and certainly will not help your relationship survive and thrive long term. Women tend to be focused on emotions, bonding, connecting, and relating to each other in relationship. Men tend to be more logically focused and need to feel successful at making their women happy. If the woman constantly berates her man and tears him down, she will make him eventually give up on trying to make her happy because she never makes him feel successful, and therefore, he will withdraw from the relationship and no longer make an effort since it feels hopeless. Women should understand that men need specific, step-by-step, logical instructions to follow in order to meet their needs, or they will not understand what women really want and need from them. The relationship cannot survive the absence of asking good quality questions of each other, being a good teammate, good communicator, or a continual lack of meeting each other's needs. After all, that's the whole reason why you're in a relationship, is you're there to help each other grow and become more. You're there to meet each other's needs. And if one or both people are no longer communicating and no longer trying to make the effort, well, then it's just simply a matter of time before the relationship ends. So let's go ahead and get into this. A real short email, but it's a good email because she brings up a lot of good points that I see that women and men are struggling with. It's really, men and women speak a different language when it comes to relationships altogether. Men tend to be more logically brained and more thinking oriented, trying to solve the problem, and women tend to be more emotionally and relationally focused, and that's why they continually bring up things that may have happened years ago. Whenever there's a disagreement, the guys always think, I thought we resolved that shit. Why do you keep bringing up something that happened 5 years ago? And what most guys don't understand is that she's just really trying to communicate, and when she brings up old examples is that you in essence hurt her in the same way that you did 2, 3, 4 years ago. Whatever it is that she continually brings up from time to time, that's what she's trying to communicate. And if more guys understood that, and if more women understood the fact that men need to feel successful in their relationship, so it's not helpful if the guy's not successful at meeting her needs. He's trying, he wants to do the right things, but because the woman is unable to communicate in a logical, step-by-step, do number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, in chronological order of what she actually needs from him. Because what a lot of women tend to do is they get pissed off that he's not getting it or figuring it out or doesn't automatically understand how to treat a woman or meet her needs. Then they get pissed off, they withdraw, they stop having sex, they use sex as a weapon, and then things just spiral out of control. And then it's like once the guy gets to the point where he feels like no matter what I do, she's not happy, she gets pissed off, then he just gives up because he feels like it's hopeless and he's never going to get anywhere. And then it's just a matter of time before the relationship ends altogether. So she says, hey coach, I stumbled across your website in a desperate attempt to find some answers for my relationship. I am a single mother that has made a huge commitment to loving a man whom I met this last August. We had a whirlwind of time together and decided 4 months into it that we would move in together. That's pretty quick, and that's why I say you need to really date for several years before you get to the point where you're moving in or getting married. Because once the honeymoon period has worn off, you get to the brass tacks of, were you two people before you got into a relationship, were the both of you happy with your lives? Were you happy with yourselves? Were you emotionally happy? Were you mentally happy? Did you feel like you already had a great life and you were happy and content? Or were you looking to get into a relationship in hopes that the other person can fix you or fill you up or give you whatever it is that you feel you're lacking? Because if you're looking for the other person to meet your needs, you're going to be disappointed and you're not going to be happy. And obviously that's one of the things that this article that I'm going to go through in a second here, what he discovered as well. So she says, we had a whirlwind of time together and decided 4 months into it that we move in together. And the reality is I am scared as hell because he's never had a relationship before, and there are many needs that I have to clearly lay out for him. Well, the bottom line is it's all about your ability to communicate, not by using relational examples and hoping that he draws a conclusion that you are expecting him to get from those examples. You have to communicate. Maybe you should write down a list of what you want him to do on a continual basis. It's the only way he's going to get it. And if you're not willing to do that, then the bottom line is eventually you're going to make him feel like he can't be successful at making you happy, and he's going to withdraw and stop making an effort anyways, and then the relationship's just going to spiral out of control and end in a messy breakup. She says, however, in that process I feel exhausted and our connection then becomes trite or forced. Well, obviously that tells me that you're not able to break through to him. You're not able to communicate your needs and wants in a way that he's able to understand. Because what you got to understand about men is we are driven to succeed. We are driven to try, naturally, instinctively, we're going to try to make you happy. But you have to be able to communicate to us what you specifically need. Meaning, hey, you know what, from time to time, I want a personal handwritten note or somewhere in my purse or in my car's visor or in the car seat or underneath the pillow, or a simple post-it note that just tells me one of the things that you love about me. If that's something that's important to you, you got to communicate. One thing that was a really good example, I had a guy that I learned a lot from, and a very brilliant guy, and when he met his current wife, when they went out on their very first date, he says, what does spectacular look like to you? In other words, when you're in a relationship, what do you need in order to feel really happy, to feel loved, to feel supported, to feel like your man is taking care of you and is meeting your needs in whatever way you need it? And so she proceeds to tell him, and he sat there and he actually took notes. This guy's a very successful multimillionaire business person. And so once he got done asking her that, then she is like, well, what about you? What are you? And she just instinctively did this. Talking about having goals and values that are aligned, they were totally goal-oriented and value-aligned people. And so they did this to each other, and they still have these notes to this day, and they've been together, I think, 12, 14, 15 years at this particular point now. And they have a very happy marriage, because at the very beginning, she said, this is what I need from you. And these are the kinds of things I like, and I want you. Not that she says, you got to do this Wednesday, you got to do this Monday, you got to do this Friday. It wasn't that specific. It was just certain things that needed to happen on a continual basis for her to feel like this person really cares about me and is meeting my needs. It was a total team approach that they took towards their relationship. And it was beautiful, and it's working great to this day. They're very happy, and they're very in love because they took the time to write these things down and communicate them. Have you actually done it? It's like when it comes to sex. Tell me what you like. What do you want me to do to you? What positions do you really like? And communicate that. Don't just say, oh, well, you should know. You should automatically know how to please a woman, or you should automatically know how to please a man. It's like, you can't come from that place. You've got to be able to communicate what you want. And if you're not able to communicate, you're not going to have a very good relationship, and it's not going to last for very long. He says, our happiness means so much to me, yet I tend to go about it by eventually retreating and wanting to break up. So in other words, you get frustrated and it's like, okay, well, it's not going to work. Let's just end it. It's like you're giving up at some point. So obviously what you're doing is not working, so you need to change your approach. And obviously that's one of the reasons probably why you reached out to me. She continues on, he recently withheld the fact that his exes contacted him. She says, I brushed it aside, but at the time I felt uncertain, I still do. She says, I'm unsure that he can open up to me and share his life with me. Well, you got to understand, he's a man, and men, we're just not going to sit there and talk about our feelings and emotions like another one of your girlfriends is going. We're just not made that way. She says, I know he loves me, but when he does, I don't know how much. Well, ask him. Say on a scale of 1 to 10, you should do this every week. This is a great exercise for both of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love me? And if he says a 7, then say, great, I appreciate the honest feedback. And so what would I have done differently? How would I have been different, or how would I have shown up differently this past week in order for you to say, you know what? On a scale of 1 to 10, you're a fucking 10 as a girlfriend. I'm so happy with you. I love you so much. That's a question you need to ask and let him tell you. And then the next week, endeavor to do those things that he feels like he needs from you. She says, I can't keep on taking the initiative. Well, somebody's got to do it. And if he's not doing these things, you're the one that's reaching out to me for help. So the bottom line is you're going to have to do it. Or you leave the relationship and then you go find a guy who already knows how to do these kinds of things. She says, so I decided to spend some time away. Is this hurting our relationship further? Yeah, well, how can your relationship get better if you're not talking and you're not spending time together? The whole point is hanging out, having fun, and hooking up together. It's about meeting each other's needs. And if you're purposely punishing him, say, okay, well, I'm not going to spend time with you until I punish you enough and I stay away from you long enough for you to realize, oh, now I know what I need to do. It's not helping your relationship. The whole purpose is to meet each other's needs, to grow together or grow apart. And obviously in this particular case, you're growing apart because now you're not even spending any time with him. That's not helpful to your relationship. So the bottom line is you got to learn to walk in the shoes of the other person. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? How are they showing up? And ask them. So let's go. I'm going to go through some of the points of this article. And this is one of the most important things that everybody across the board that had a good, healthy, loving relationship said. The number one thing, you've probably heard me talk about it all the time. It says the happiest couples always consisted of 2, sometimes more, because sometimes you got 3 or 4 people that are in relationship with one another. Emotionally healthy and independently happy individuals. These people practice self-love. They treated themselves with the same type of care that they treated their partner, or at least they tried to. Emotionally healthy people know how to forgive, and they are able to acknowledge their part in any disagreement or conflict and take responsibility for it. In other words, they're not always just going, oh, it's the other person's problem. The article continues on. They are self-aware enough to be assertive, to pull their weight, and to give love when it's most difficult. And the second most important thing was commitment. After that emotional health came an unquestioning level of commitment. The happiest couples knew that if shit got real, their significant other wasn't going to walk out on them, and they knew that even if things got hard, especially if things got hard, that they were better off together. The sum of the parts is greater than the whole. That is total teamwork. That is being on the team. That's the essence of what a team is all about. Together, everyone achieves more. That's what the word team stands for. Trust. Happy couples trust each other, and they have earned each other's trust. They don't worry about the other person trying to undermine them or sabotage them, because they've proven over and over again that they are each other's biggest advocate. That trust is built through actions, not words. It's day after day of fidelity, service, emotional security, and reliability. Establish that foundation and you're in good shape. Intentionality. This is the icing on the cake. There's a difference between the couple who drives through the rainstorm and the couple who pulls their car to the side of the road to make out in the rain. There's a difference between the couple who kisses for 10 seconds or longer when they say goodbye to each other, rather than just giving each other a peck or nothing at all. There's a difference between the couples who encourage each other to pursue their personal goals at the expense of their own discomfort or inconvenience, even if it means their partner has to stage kiss another woman. In other words, an actor or an actress, or being in a relationship with an actor or actress. The couples who try on a daily basis to experience some sort of meaningful connection or create a fun memory are the couples who shattered my perception of what was possible in a loving relationship. And this was interesting. This was from a woman who's been married to her husband for over 60 years. She says she and her husband have been married for over 60 years, and after being asked what her best relationship advice would be, she paused and said, "Don't be afraid to be the one who loves the most." Loving is all about giving. It's about giving and not having any expectations about what comes back in return. And as long as your needs are being met and you're communicating this and the other person is seeking to meet your needs, it's going to work. Like a buddy of mine who's very happy. He's been with his wife almost 20 years now. They have 3 beautiful children together. They love each other. They have a very active sex life. His wife takes fantastic care of herself. And they've only had 6 or 7 arguments the whole time they've been together because they get it. They realize that they're there to understand one another and meet each other's needs. So there's fantastic communication in their relationship, and that's why it works. That's why they've been faithful all this time. And even though they both have had opportunities, neither one of them has cheated or has sought fulfillment outside the relationship because they have great communication. They have a really strong bond. Here's a couple other things. Number one, when it comes to arguing, don't fight to win. A huge number of couples talked about how they didn't fight against each other. I mean, if you're in love, you should be playing for the same team. Your goal should be to resolve the issue, not emerge victorious over the love of your life. And let's be honest, you just feel guilty when you win anyways. That's so true. Seek to understand. If you're having a hard time playing on the same team, stop fighting and instead try to understand why your partner is upset. Typically, what's being talked about isn't the real issue. People are inherently bad at being vulnerable, especially in threatening situations. Be willing to ask sincere questions and let the answers sink in. If she's complaining that you're spending too much time at work, maybe the real issue is that she misses you and wants to feel connected to you. That's why women tend to get bitchy. They just want your presence. I talk about this extensively in my book. Rather than arguing about how you're providing for the family, which is typical logic and reason that men use, and she needs to respect how hard you work, try to listen to what she's really saying. Then hold her. Come home early one day and surprise her with a date or some special one-on-one time. Reassure her that she and your relationship are a priority for you. Actions speak louder than words. That's why I always say the courtship never ends. If you don't want that same issue to arise again, keep investing in the solution. Be nice to each other. Don't be a jerk. Don't call names. Don't take jabs. Don't try to hurt the other person, which is exactly what the woman who wrote this is trying to do. Argue naked if it helps, but just be kind and civil and respectful. It will prevent so many bad things from happening. And this is an interesting quote from one of the people. At the end of my lover's life, I want him to be able to say, she was the greatest earthly blessing in my life, the best thing that ever happened to me, and that I'm a better man because of how she loved me, and that's the goal I live with every day. That's how I want to love this man. That's fucking powerful. That's a woman who's totally focused on meeting her man's needs, and that dude, he's a fucking lucky bastard to have a woman like that in his life. And that's fucking awesome, because that's how you have a healthy relationship. Again, these are all similar things that I've discovered over the years, and I talk about these in my book. And if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website and clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.